A lot of you guys have been asking me about hiring independent contractors, and I imagine you want to hire an independent contractor instead of a W-2 employee because you don't have the infrastructure to support an employee. You don't have a payroll company, you don't have a way to take withholding, to pay federal, state, local taxes, you don't have benefits for an employee, and so you want to keep things simple by hiring an independent contractor. Now, you probably already know there's federal and state guidelines on what classifies a person working for you, with you, as an employee versus a contractor. But I want to talk about a third option. You know, as therapists, we are amazing at figuring out solutions to problems, and you've got a problem. You probably have started your private practice, you're probably the clinician treating most of the patients, but you're also busy doing everything else. And now you're actually getting more referrals than you can handle. And so you're looking to scale, you're looking to have other therapists. You want to leverage their time, which is an amazing business opportunity. It's a great problem to have. But I think we're looking at this from the wrong perspective. We're trying to decide, how do I make this person an independent contractor? How do I bring this person on as simply as possible? But maybe we can look at this as, how can I provide that person with the services that allow them to run their own practice while still earning the same profit margin I would if they were working for me? Think about this for a minute. Let's take off all the hats that we're used to wearing and let's say, okay, what's really going on in a classic business model? I'm a practice owner. I'm also a physical therapist. I own Total Therapy Solutions. When I hire a new physical therapist because we've gotten too busy, I am the one, and my business is the one responsible for doing the marketing. We're responsible for bringing new referrals into the practice. I'm the one responsible for doing the billing and collections, the invoices. I'm the one responsible for accounts payable and handling all of the bill payment that comes up between electric and gas and water and internet and all that stuff. I'm providing all of these services so that the therapist can treat the patient and focus on patient care. Now, if you didn't see my video the other night where I did an analysis of US physical therapy financials and showed you how to create your own financial benchmarks to see how your business is doing to what we would call an industry standard, go check out that video. I'll post a link in the video description so you can go straight to that video after this one. But what I'm getting at, the point that I'm trying to make here is, look, once you decide you're truly running a business, it's no longer just about patient care. It's about building a platform that allows both you and anybody working for you or with you to succeed. So instead of thinking, well, I'm going to hire that therapist as an independent contractor, I'm going to pay that therapist either a percentage of revenue, which if we saw in the USPH numbers, they were paying about 62% towards salaries. But then they had about 20% in other overhead costs. So you could say, well, I'm going to pay that therapist 60% of what they produce, and then I'm going to assume the cost of all the other stuff, and then hopefully there's a profit margin there for me. What if we flip that around and said, okay, I've got patients coming to me, so in effect, I'm like a marketing company. I've got systems to handle billing and collections. So in effect, it's like I'm a biller. I've got administrative staff or help to handle incoming calls, schedule patients, handle cancellations or reschedule no-shows. I've got all of these systems and procedures that I've built for myself. What I'm going to do is, instead of hiring a contractor to come work for me, I'm going to see if that therapist wants to hire me to provide them with all the back-end solutions. At the end of the day, you are going to make probably the same amount of profit either direction you go, but I think the real hidden value, and I saved this for the end of this video because I want you guys to keep watching, the real hidden value is in the risk and the liability. So look at these two scenarios. Let's say you have a W-2 employee or an independent contractor. Heaven forbid that individual is negligent and their negligence results in an injury to the patient. Who do you think is going to get sued? Absolutely, they're going to get sued personally, but your business is going to get sued as well because you either employed them or you hired them as a contractor to come work for you. Now flip that over, you're providing business services to that therapist does something negligent resulting in an injury to the client. Who's going to get sued? That therapist, but you have no liability in that scenario. Now, of course, if you do something negligent, fraudulent, if you violate some sort of compliance law, you're going to be held accountable. But the idea is a component of calculating salary and compensation has to include risk. And not even just risk around negligence. Let's take another scenario. Let's say that you're hiring an independent contractor or a W-2 employee and claims are going through your company for that individual. Let's say that individual doesn't have the level of documentation required for compensation from the third-party payer. Now, that person works for you for a year. And they're doing, 30 visits a week, you do the math, and then they leave to take another job. And all of a sudden, a payer comes to you 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, performs an audit, reviews those medical records, determines that the documentation was inadequate or incorrectly performed, and now all of a sudden, you're under scrutiny and you're required to claw back a portion of that money back to the payer. That therapist who left 2 years ago is not going to come back and give you back any portion of their compensation. So it's important that you understand a huge component of the profit you expect as an employer has to do with assuming risk for your employees. Now, if we flip that on its head again, and you become a back-end solution, a billing company, a marketing company, an accounts receivable company, now you mitigate a huge chunk of that liability. Now your profit is actually your profit. Your income is actually your income. So I just think that this is a huge opportunity that people need to explore, and we need to get past the conventional mindset of it's my business, this therapist is coming to Total Therapy Solutions. If another therapist is going to see this patient, you're going to do it under my umbrella. I think we need to flip it around and say, look, you are a professional. I respect your professional credentials. I respect what you've achieved as a clinician. I've got a patient that needs care. If you want to care for this patient, hire me as a back-end provider to provide your billing and collections, to provide your marketing, to provide these other services. Pay me 25% of gross revenue, and this, let's get into business together. So guys, let me know what you're thinking. Obviously, this is a newer perspective, a newer concept, at least it is for me. And so by talking to you, working through this, it helps me kind of better understand the details, and then hearing your objections, because I'm sure you guys are going to look at that and be like, what is he talking about? I don't understand this, or how can we do that? Your questions help improve the quality of the content that I can produce on this channel. Post your questions on YouTube. Please don't post your questions on Facebook. It's so much better for my channel if you ask your questions in the YouTube comments. As always, guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I'll catch you guys on the next video.